So, Victor, let's then turn to another topic before we go to a break again. I was wondering your thoughts on Iran. I know that Trump has moved assets into the region, that the regime has now killed, from my source, 32,000 demonstrators. And Trump has said he's going to do something, and not so much what will Trump do, but what, because obviously you couldn't know that, but what's in the realm of possibilities of what Trump might do, and what is the grand strategy of Trump right now?
Well, he always looks at these situations of intervention or bombing on a cost of benefit analysis, whether it was killing al-Baghdadi or Soleimani or the Wagner Group or bombing ISIS in his first term or hitting the nuclear facilities in his second in Iran or the Maduro kidnapping, capture, etc. And so that's a good way to look at it. What are the downsides? The downside is if he starts bombing, who does he bomb and can he hit them? He has to have the revolutionary groups, guards. He has to get the theocracy. They all know he's going to be after him. They're in bunkers. Will he be able to do it? He's going to have to get their missile depots. He's going to have to get all of the means of that regime exercises to create deterrence, missiles, nuclear facilities he missed, tanks, get rid of them all. And he should expect, as we saw with Hamas in the tunnel, that they'll all be parked, stored like they are in Beirut, in apartment buildings, in hospitals, in mosques. And so they want a lot of collateral damage. And then he has to understand that he needs a popular uprising at the same time. We've already had one, and that prompted him to send the assets to the region. But he said, and you said, 32,000 people were killed, and they're probably executing thousands that we don't even know about. So if you're afraid to go out on the street and you see American planes, maybe even Israeli planes, and they're hitting targets, is your reaction good? Good. I'm glad they're killing my government, or well, I don't really care anymore. They've killed us. But why are they hurting Iran? I'm an Iranian, and will that create a counter patriotic fervor? Then he has to think, look what happened in Libya when we bombed. We got rid of Gaddafi, the Obama, that triad of Susan Rice, Hillary Clinton, and Samantha Power. And what did they give us? They gave us ultimate chaos. And we went in and took out Saddam, we had chaos. We went in and got rid of the Taliban, we got chaos. And we had to stay there. So do we want ground troops in there to over? No, we don't. So who is going to take the place? The Shah? And if we could get the Shah's son, we could have him say, I will not be in power for more than 3 years. I'm a transitional to get a new constitution and bring in outside observers for fair elections. And we're going to outlaw that theocratic Khomeini party, sort of like the Germans outlaw the Nazi party. So that's a lot of, and then he has the weather, and then he has other considerations. Is Israel has a whole list of targets, and they may not be the same number of targets as we are. They have killers that have killed Jews. They have terrorists. They know where they are. Once people see Israeli planes, does that confirm the propaganda of the regime that it's Israelis, etc.? Then he's got the MAGA base to worry about. Tucker Carlson said just the 30-minute incursion into Iran was going to start World War III. Steve Bannon, that group. And so he's has the assets. You can't take a 100,000 displacement, 100,000 ton displacement, huge carrier, $14 billion, 5,000 people, and just stick it out there forever. You know what I mean? It has a shelf life, maybe 3-4 months at most. So he's assembling these assets, and they're almost in place. They're in the Mediterranean, they're in the Gulf of Hormuz, they're in the Persian Gulf, they're in the Red Sea. They can come at a 360-degree angle, but they're reaching their climatic point, and they're extreme readiness. That means if you're a young sailor, you're not sleeping well, you're going to be called at any moment, you're having drill, you're at a state of readiness that's not sustainable for more than 3 or 4 weeks. So at some point, the commanders are going to come to Trump and say, you've got to pull the trigger or we got to go back. And that is going to be a decision, I think, that has political ramifications. So then his other advisors are going to say, we're 9 months from the midterm. If you're going to do it, you got to do it now. And this is what can happen if we have a bloodbath and we hit a hospital and the Europeans don't expect the Europeans to be there, don't expect the British to let us use Diego Garcia, don't expect anybody, and expect the Chinese and the Russians to be very angry because they're going to lose their asset and they will cause us problems somewhere else. Maybe they'll start threatening at a higher degree Taiwan, or maybe Putin will escalate in Ukraine while we're doing this. So there's all these things that he has to filter out as important, somewhat important, irrelevant. And then he has to say, what is the timing on the world stage? Well, the Olympics is over. You can't bomb somebody during the Olympics. I mean, there's this
All these
pretense
things come in, that's true.
and you can't bomb somebody before the State of the Union. So my anticipation is the Olympics are over. The State of the Union is over. The weather and the seasons are getting better. And if he is going to do it, he would probably do it in the next 10 days. And then he will not have ground troops because he said George W. Bush should have been impeached for going into Iraq. So it's a very difficult thing. Very quickly, then, there's a grand strategy. I just want to say, H.R. McMaster and Nadia Schadlow created the first national security strategic assessment in the first term. That was updated. I think Michael Anton and others updated it. It was a little bit different, but it had the same theme. The theme was that Trump is not an interventionist. He doesn't want to go into ground, but he's not an isolationist. He is a jacksonian. He is a preemptive deterrent. That's what he wants. And his main fear in the world is China. And if you think about that, it's been pretty brilliant what he's done the last 13 months. Because if you take, say, all these isolated incidents that everybody said, oh, he's herky-jerky. We don't know what he's going to do on any given day. Oh, there's no point to it. There is. If you just go down the list of, say, 9 or 10 things, take the Panama. He goes in and we might take the canal back. We might do this. But what was the whole point of that? The whole point was to get the Chinese out of the entry and exit and tell the Panamanians you violated the spirit and the letter of the Panama Canal Treaty, and we have a right to revoke it. So you got one choice. You get them out of here now, and you restore the Panama Canal to a partnership between us and you, or else. That worked. Take another one. He got rid of Maduro. Maduro had a communist enclave that was a drug exporting conduit to Mexico or the United States via Mexico, and partnership with a left-wing government in Colombia, anti-American, and embargoed and stealthy sending oil to China. And he said, nope. And we're going to do what? We're going to starve Venezuela out of its oil. We're going to blockade it, and we're going to take him out, and we're going to restore the Monroe Doctrine. And China, we should have warned you in Panama. Now get out. And they did.